This question is for homework from section 3.4 in the textbook. So let's get into it. So this question asks you to compute z-scores for students, but I just want to pause here and point out that it tells you a little bit of information about the data, and the information it tells you is really important. So the data represents the pulse rates of 9 students, but this is the important line. Treat the 9 students as a population. And that's important because the calculation for standard deviation is different if it's a sample or a population. So z-scores are actual values minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. And so I'm going to show you how to do that in StatCrunch in 2 steps. So when we open StatCrunch, you'll see the students and the pulse. So first we're going to calculate the standard deviation and the mean. So we'll do summary statistics, and we'll do columns, and we'll do the mean, and then not this one. This standard deviation is the sample standard deviation. You got to scroll down and choose unadjusted standard deviation. So I hold the control key down to pick both. And then I say store in data table, and I compute it. So now it makes me a value for the mean and a value for the unadjusted standard deviation, which is the population. And now I'm going to do the z-score calculation, and I'm going to do that by going to data and then compute. Oops, first I want to make sure I'm sitting on pulse. Compute and then expression. I'm going to build my expression. And since it's the actual minus the mean at the top, on the top of the fraction, I need to put it in the parentheses. So the actual is the pulse minus the mean, and that's the column it just made. And then I'm going to divide that by the population standard deviation, and then I click OK and compute. Now since I put it on this pulse column, it's going to do the calculation for every entry in that pulse column and put it over here. So you can see here, these are my values, and they are slightly different than what the student put in because the student calculated the sample standard deviation instead of the population standard deviation. So that's how you go about doing it. Make sure you round to the nearest hundredth and you'll be good to go.